Good evening and welcome back to the one Celtic fans view where we talk about everything, absolutely everything. And yes, I'm late because I was talking to Kaiser. You can blame Kaiser for me being late this evening. I'm only about a minute late. It's not that bad. It's only about a minute late. Anyway, right, evening. Let's get into some of the comment section. First of all, say good evening to everyone. And then we'll get into the Celtic news. Mike Power says it's unfortunate, but it's good news. Expect Cameron Carter Vickers to be around for a few years now. Tam Mack says hail hail. Paul McEwen says hail hail. CB100 says I'm Sergeant Oddball. Don't give me the negative waves, man. Rod McLean says hail hail from Brecon. Kevin is in the house. Hail hail, guys. Kaiser's in the house. Kenny's in the house. I expect to announce two block. Jesus, Kenny's on the drink tonight. Paul Emery's in the house. Danny's in the house, Big Dom's in the house, Martin's in the house, Sean, Kaiser. I expected Celtic to do nothing when questioned if they, but then they signed CCV and retained O'Reilly as well as Kuhn. Lol. Any transfer updates? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Obviously, Lagerbielke looks like he is away. He is off to Serie A, which is it's a strange one. Lorna Gallagher's just in, Michael Ross is in, Wee Man Sham is in, and Stephen and Patrick Toner are all in the house, as well as Graham Hardy and JJ. Did I miss anyone? Not so far. Paul Bears just came in. Anyway, that's enough of the hellos. Can't say that twice, can you? Anyway, we'll get to the Celtic news. Celtic looks like they have offloaded the one and only Gustav Lagerbielke, which is a shame because I like the lads. Lecce, the Lecce Bill, uh, he's off to play in Serie A. It looks like he's away on a loan deal, which will include an option to buy Gustav, and I think that's a strange one. Um, Sorry, I'm just reading something. Anyway, the latest with Lagerbielke looks like he's out the door. He is one of the ones that Brendan Rodgers doesn't seem to like. When you think about it, it's coming out that he thinks that he was maybe too slow. Cowden Beast in the house. Lagerbielke was too slow, but if Lagerbielke was too slow, what the hell was Nat Phillips? Because Nat Phillips was getting a game before him. But then again, Lagerbielke done not too bad at the start of the season. Anyway, it's done. It's dusted. What are you going to do with the Lagerbielke t-shirts? Luckily, I didn't have them printed. They only got printed when somebody bought them, thankfully. So I am sitting with a bucket load of Gustav Lagerbielke t-shirts. I've got one. I've got one. That'll probably be worth money in years to come. I do have one. I have one myself, as you all know. Anyway, everyone's in the house. Quite a few people in. Ricky is in the house also. And McCarthy still in hope for a payoff. McCarthy, Jesus. Um, let's talk about the Celtic transfer window. We are only a couple of days away from it ending. This is where it will start to heat up. And is it a good thing? I don't particularly think it's a good thing leaving everything to the last minute. I liked the way that we did it previous years with any transfers in. There's not a thing, Chilpill. There's not a thing. There's not a whisper of anything. I've been on the phone today, texting mates that sit in the main stand, and there's nothing coming out of Celtic at all. Sack the board. Send it to me. Well, send what to you. Send the t-shirt to you, said Scott Wilson. Send that Gustav Lagerbielke t-shirt to him. Yeah, but when it comes to transfers in, there is absolutely nothing at all. Obviously, Joe Hart was speaking after the game at the weekend, and the press have come out with that. He's talking about he doesn't want to talk about his future until the end of the season. I tell you one thing, I'm going to paint a no. Can we go this depressing tonight? We'll leave that for Thursday night. We'll leave it for Thursday night. I'm not even going to try and say it. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I've got a funny feeling we're going to get to the end of this transfer window, right? We're not going to bring anybody in. And yes, we're going to get to the summer and we're going to re sign Joe Hart because we can't get rid of any goalkeepers. That would be poor performance by Celtic if that was to happen. There was a rumour going around today that was just fake. There's a lot of fake news. I just want Ange back in a bag of cans, says Kaiser. He wants Ange back in a bag of cans. Transfer waiting. Martin says waiting on transfer is like waiting on the real Rangers to turn up. Oh, that's a blow, that one. I can't talk to you now, mate. Somebody's trying to get hold of me, but you'll have to wait. The cry was we're tired. A very underwhelming transfer window, right? What did we really expect from this transfer window? Because I know that Brendan Rodgers spoke before the transfer window, talking about bringing in quality, but he never put any numbers on it. He never put any numbers on quality. And I think that was always the difficult part. He did say that we needed to offload some players before we could get players in. Now, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of talk, and a lot of the Celtic sites are running with the Van Hooijdonk thing. And I'm going to tell you my thoughts on it. He's a player that went out on loan last season, and yes, he scored a few goals in the second league. I'm sure it was the second league in Holland. Now, he's not played for his first. He's not played for the team this year. He wasn't even on the bench, Van Hooijdonk, this weekend again. He's not been in the team most of this season, hence the reason that he's wanting away. Now, his dad wants him to come to Celtic because his dad sees that he knows that Celtic can be a platform for him to show and then move on. Do we really need a player to come into Celtic for 6 months to try and show that he's something that he's not, just to try and get a move? And it's all about using Celtic. And I've nothing against Pierre Van Hooijdonk, but when you go back to the 1990s and the way that Pierre acted when he left Celtic, I don't really want his son coming in and doing the same. Um, he's I just don't want it. I don't want that type of player. We went down the road the past couple of seasons when, especially when Andrew was here, we brought in players that were kind of committed to the cause. And I mean, I would even say Gustav Lagerbielke was 110% committed to the cause of Celtic. But for some unknown reason, Brendan doesn't like him and he wants to move him on, which means Carlin Carter Vickers is going nowhere for the next 2 seasons. He has just signed that new 5-year deal. So you're expecting Liam Scales um, to stay with Cameron Carter Vickers. Is Liam Scales ultimately good enough for the Champions League? And then we're going to have the likes of Stephen Welsh and Rocky fighting it out for a position with Liam Scales. Now that's more than enough cover for those two positions. I mean, that's four reasonably good players. Well, a top quality player in Cameron Carter Vickers. When you've got Rocky and a side him, I think that could be a really good partnership. But Lagerbielke was the player that could play the other position. But I don't know. I don't know. And then as long as, I mean, with Stephen Welsh, he signed a new long-term contract also. And they're trying to get, say, Liam Scales, they're trying to get Scales tied up on a new contract. So that position is kind of, is nice and secure, right? The other position that isn't as secure is obviously the left back. We've known we've needed a left back for a long time. We'll go through the positions in the field. We've known we've needed a left back for a long time. When it comes to the right back and Alistair Johnson, he's not hit the best of form this season. I think he's still got a little bit to go to get back to the form that he's got last season. Celtic either have to do one or two things. They need to either bring a left back in or they need to promote the young boy Frame into the first team, and or even go for a back three. I mean, I've been saying this for a few weeks now, that I think Celtic should, especially when you play the likes of Ross County, when you play the likes of Ross County, we should definitely be going to a three at the back. You can't spend 80 minutes of the game, and I know that Liam Scales runs up the park and into the other end of the field, and so does Cameron Carter Vickers, but I think an attacking formation sense, I think we should be playing a 3-5-2. That's only my personal opinion. I mean, it's been my personal opinion for a long time that Celtic should always play 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2. They should always have two attacking strikers. We do not cope. We cannot cope with the anti-football. And let's say it what it is. It's not a low. I mean, Brendan Rodgers and the backroom staff have started calling it this low block. They've came up with this new terminology that the opposing teams play a low block. It's anti-football. It's nothing less than anti-football. It's sit back and defend with a six at the back. And Liam, yes, I do believe he's not going to sign a 5 year deal and then leave. He's not going to sign a 5 year deal and then leave. Not a chance. Not a chance. The money that Celtic would want for him would be upwards of 30 million for that if that was to be the case. And you're never going to get 30 million for Cameron Carter-Vickers. Sorry, you're not going to get that kind of money for him. But that's the type of money that Celtic would be looking for due to the length of that contract. But to get back to the setup of the team, and especially against Ross County, the fact that teams come to Celtic like Ross County, like Livingston, like Kilmarnock to an extent, and a lot of other teams, they come back and they sit with if you look at it, it's a back six. Now, it's anti-football. It's this low block, this terminology that we've allowed to come into Celtic, that it's a low block, and it's just piss off. It's anti-football, and just call it out for what it is. I know you've got to be respectful to the other managers when you are a manager, but just tell it as it is. It's negative. It's negative, and that's it. At the end of the day, it's just pure negative. So we should be playing a 3-5-2, and who do we play up front? Well, the midfield kind of takes care of itself. Apart from the wingers, we seem to be chopping and changing with the wingers. Will Mikey Johnston leave? But if Mikey Johnston doesn't leave before Thursday, God help us. God help us. And especially if Mikey Johnston gets a new contract, because if that's the way that Celtic um, Green Machine, how many years ago was that? And what was the quality at Celtic then? Um, you're trying to put me off here. Yes, we did win 2-1 against Barca. We didn't. We played a low block. We didn't play a low block. We were pushed back by Barcelona. There's a difference. When teams intentionally set up, we didn't intentionally set up with a back six that night. So before you start going and saying we played a low block against Barcelona, we did not set up to intentionally go to six at the back. Celtic had never done that. Celtic set up to hit on the break, which is a kind of a bit different. It's a bit like what the old Rangers did during the 90s, and they did that pretty well during the 90s and especially in the Champions League. So trying to compare how we played against Barcelona is that's just silly. Sorry, but anyway, getting back to what I'm talking about on the video is that the midfield takes care of itself. If we're left with Mikey Johnson, and if Mikey Johnson gets a new contract at Celtic, we'd be as well just chucking it just now. Because I think Brendan Rodgers, I think when you looked at the interview at the weekend, he was definitely a man that was disheartened by the reaction. Now, I've been speaking to my brother a lot today about it, and it's like it's football, right? And his comment was to me is our fans have this sense of entitlement. They have this sense of entitlement, and I did say, look, you're never going to go. We're never going to do invincible season again. We're never going to do an invincible season. It's just not going to happen, right? And teams will sit back. We maybe don't have the quality that we had in the invincible season. Or is that doing an injustice to the players for 2016, 2017 to compare them to this team? Is that doing an injustice to this team to compare them to that team? Tell me that in the comments. The fact is that we're never going to do an invincible season again. I just don't think that'll ever be done. I don't think that you can go out and comfortably win every game, especially the way that they set up. I mean, we not no we don't. We play 4-3-3. You see the way that we're set up. We play 4-3-3. Um, if we play 3-4-3, we're sitting with three in the back, and that doesn't happen. But yeah, I can understand what you're saying. When you look at it, yes, we were forced back, and that's what we do. We do force teams, and I'm going to go. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Green Machine, right? Because you get a lot of teams that'll come to Celtic Park, and there's been teams that'll come the likes of Hibs. Now we try and play the exact same way against the likes of Hibs, and I'd even say Aberdeen to an extent, and we can't force them back, right? Teams automatically set up, and they've got it in their mindset. They know that they're going to go to a back five or a back six. They know that, right? And that's the difference between us pushing a team back and a team already having the mindset that they know when we attack them that they automatically go into a back six. It's a straight line of a six. You can watch any game where teams play that against us. They go into a straight line of a back six. And it's embarrassing to watch. If a team hasn't trained for that, right, they don't automatically know how to do it. I mean, and for it being a perfect line, they've trained for that. When we do it to other teams, and when teams come out attacking and try and push us up, they're not sitting in that back six because then they can push out quicker. So, it's two threes and six, a half a dozen. Anyway, let's get back to the striking situation. We all know that Kyogo isn't getting enough service. Hail, hail from Plymouth, Chef Scottish. We all know this live chat is better when stoned. Says Stephen. I'm going to have a doobie, Stephen. We need a big lump of a number 9, plan B. Well, this is what I'm coming to. We need to go back to the days where we had a little nimble striker. There wasn't the biggest, but I could tell you one thing: he could jump and head a ball, and he scored plenty of goals with his head. But he had a big, tall striker played beside him, and that kind of worked perfectly for Celtic for a lot of years. The Hartson and even Sutton, the Sutton and Larson combination works perfectly. I think Kyogo needs someone else in there, but that's something that isn't going to happen easily because the way that we play these days is with the one striker up front and the two wingers pushing up to try and make it bamboozles me sometimes because you can understand that the way they play. I mean, I was watching the Spanish. I watched 3 Spanish games yesterday, and not one team played with one striker up front. Not one team. The 3 Spanish games I watched yesterday, everyone played with 2 strikers up front. Now, it only seems to be the English Premiership that goes down this road of playing one up front. I think it's something that they kind of brought in. I'm not sure who brought it in. Whoever brought it in needs shot, to be honest. Brendan Rodgers has taken it on board and he likes that formation. He likes the fact that he can have, and if you've got a good attacking midfielders, they can get into the box, they can get in and around the box. But in Scottish football, we need 2 main strikers in and about the centre of the box, and we don't have that. We don't have that. We need to change Big Jan and Scott McDonald. Smell the glove. Exactly. Jan Venegura, Hessel Hink, and Scott McDonald. Yeah, that was probably the closest that we've had since then. That was actually, yeah, you're right. They were fantastic. That was a fantastic time to go to football, actually. And it was brilliant. It was a long time ago now, wasn't it? It was a long, long time ago. Anyway, let's crack on. So who do we bring in? Who do we bring in? Mavovsky is an option. We're never going to bring in Shankland. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Looks like he's determined he wants to go and join his boyhood heroes. Mavovsky, are we going to pay the money for him? He's only had. You've got to remember, we're all slating Van Hooijdonk here for the fact that he's done it for one season. Mavovsky, before he came to Aberdeen, he was an average goal scorer. He was an average goal scorer. He wasn't prolific. He's had a good time at Aberdeen. Is he a one-hit wonder? I don't know. He can do it in the Premier League but then again, there's another way to look at it also. If the club from across the city were sitting with 70 million in the bank and we were breathing down their neck, they would go out and they would buy Shankland and they would buy Mavovsky because they had the money to do it. Right? They would do that. That's what they would do. They would go out and they would buy the 2 players just to make sure that we wouldn't get there and we wouldn't be anywhere near them. The problem with Celtic is we've had a lot of domination over as many years, and we have this thing at Celtic. I sometimes look at English Premier teams and teams around Europe and envy, not because of the players, not because of the money, but because they can keep a manager for more than 2 years. A good team manages to keep its manager for at least 3 to 4 years, and the top teams can keep them a bit longer. When you look at it, to have that consistency, and it's something that we've never had for a long time, and unfortunately, there's one common denominator to everything that goes wrong at Celtic. It seems it was fine for the 2 years previous this year, but then if you look back, what happened January last year. He also called them the Rangers. Shankland wouldn't be a must, in my opinion. Top goal scorer in the league. For Shankland, I don't think he was. Lawwell wants Sevco doing well. Well, I think that is something that he wants. Um, Anyway, the new Heart striker Shankland is the new Kenny Miller. The new Kenny Miller. What do you think he's going to come to us and then go to Rangers? He's never going to do that. He's never going to do that. Surely, right? Let's see if there's any other Celtic news kicking about. It's all the main channels are now kicking around, kicking about the Gustav Lagerbielke deal, which looks like that's going to go through. Um, it's a position that we needed to clear players out of. That's us got rid of two players out of the team from that position. We don't need to bring anyone in from that position. I can see Celtic saying that it's a good window because we've managed to. This is what's going to happen, and it's always the same. Celtic will go down on Thursday and they'll say it was a good window. We didn't have to sell any of our players. We didn't have to sell Matt O'Reilly. So it was a good window. We brought in a player. We improved the quality of the team by bringing in Nicholas Kuhn. We managed to retain Cameron Carter-Vickers in a 5-year contract. It was a good window. You can see exactly how Celtic are going to go down the route. They've done it many times before, and they'll put a spin on it that it was a good window. And unless any, I mean, Celtic aren't going to sell any of their main players. And then the way that Brendan Rodgers will talk about it next week is, look, we're only a week or so away from bringing back some players from the Asia Cup. We're going to bring back Rio Hatate, who'll come back into the team. That means Alexandro Bernardo will get dropped to the bench or will get dropped out of the team altogether. And then he's going to say Dyson Maida is going to come back into the team. So we're going to be even stronger. So you can see the positive spin that Celtic will put on this in the next 2 weeks. It'll be like a new signing bringing back Dyson Maida. It'll be like a new signing bringing back Rio Hatate. Um, anyway, the window shuts on Thursday midnight. So it's Thursday midnight. So it'll be Friday that all the good news stories will come out. Woo! Anyway, Kuhn looks impressive on YouTube. He'd done nothing on Saturday. Big Dom, anybody could look. I mean, you could put a compilation of me on YouTube and I'd probably look good. Oh, summer, my anyway, you could put a compilation of me or my brother on YouTube, and anybody would look good. If you keep penny pinching, says who really cares? This is Celtic Park will be the third full in 10 years. Yeah, this is statistically, this is the highest attendance season averages per game, and it's unbelievable that we've had that. Maida Hatate might not be back until mid-February. The competition ends on the 10th of February. I think they'll be back. They might be given 2 or 3 days off to travel. They won't be given much time off after that. And then they'll be back straight into the team. Estepona boy, how are you this evening? SVH is slow and bad attitude. Yeah, Van Hoydonk. Yeah, I know. Unfit. My cousin lives in Italy. This is the bad attitude. We talk about Van Hooydonk because all the Celtic press are running with the story that it looks like Van Hooydonk's on his way. And if they see this as some kind of glory of a player that's been disruptive, um, and and I mean I've seen some of the Celtic blogs pull out stats for his last so many years and saying, look, he's really good. He's scored goals, and it's like they're trying to convince us that this player is actually better than what he is. And to be honest, I don't think so. Chilpel says we need the Japanese players back for the St. Mirren game. We need them back as soon as we can, to be honest. Owen Robertson, welcome to the chat. I'm so disgusted with Celtic and their actions in this window. You used the word big man spin. Mang disappointed. Rogers probably read it, jump ship again. Oofed. And I was talking to a couple of guys today about it, asking, do we really think that Rogers? Well, there was a crazy story first of all, and let's put this one to bed. That Brendan Rogers was in Switzerland, and I'm like, no, he wasn't in Switzerland. I mean, nobody that I know. If he's going to go anywhere, he's going to come over to Palma. He's going to go to his holiday home. There's absolutely no chance I'm going to Switzerland where it's frigging freezing and there's snow. Brendan likes the sun, and he likes the sun for his skin and the skin on his cooting. Van Hooydonk is not coming. I don't think Van Hooydonk is coming, but a lot of the Celtic media, and I don't want to be classed as Celtic media because I'm just a YouTube channel. A lot of the Celtic media, by that I mean blogs and websites and stuff and Twitter accounts are running a lot of the Van Hooydonk stuff. Anyway, Kevin Delaney say go and get him. Yeah, we could do. Son of his father, Van Hondo, was a total disruption at Celtic. When the Bonnet had his number, the Bonnet did have his number, and that was a good thing about it. Disappointing window. Let's leave it until the Thursday night. We'll leave it till the Thursday night before we decide really. Um, where is Awata? Yeah, where is Awata? He can't be that injured again, surely. If he keeps on getting as injured as what it is, right? We can all agree that the signings that came in the last win in the summer were pretty much signed up by Ange Postecoglou. Awata was signed by Postecoglou. Um, Ida Gucci was signed by Postecoglou. These are all players that are now deemed not good enough for Celtic. Was Postecoglou working his ticket at Celtic to just get the job done? Get the job done and move on. Anyway, I don't want to talk about Postecoglou, and Ange, big Ange, all right, mate. Gustav is a far better player than Welsh, in my opinion, says Colin Galloway. It says, we need a left back, but Bernabe has had his chance to prove himself. Maida as a centre forward, not a winger. Will Celtic play? We know that Brendan Rodgers played Dyson through the middle at one point. He did play him at one point. Will he then get played? I haven't even. Has Dyson played at the Asia Cup? Has he played as centre forward? Has he scored? There's literally no injury update on Awata because journalists don't ask the questions at pressers. This is true. And I think it's. Well, they do. They ask the question: is there an update on injured players? Is there an update on injured players, Brendan? There's a lot of questions that I think should be asked at press conferences, but don't. But don't, because let's face it, the fear of the Celtic media and other media is not getting into Celtic Park for asking really inquisitive questions. But anyway, it's our job on channels like this to talk about it and open it up to the wider Celtic support to have their say about it. Quan was a weird one. It was against the Sevco, and I can't see him making it with us. I can't see Quan making it with us either. Brown Warrior, Shanklin guarantees goals in Scotland are already proven, and also being Scottish, homegrown, quote or no brainer. Did I mention he's got a decent penalty return? Brown Warrior, you forgot to mention that he loves the Sevco, and he will be going there at some point. 1st of February, 11 p.m. in England, midnight in Scotland, allows us an hour to grab another last minute CCV on loan from the English Premiership. I wish. Well, that's not a position that we need covered, but when you're running about trying to get, I mean, Cameron Carter Vickers has been a find and he's been a good player. And has he found his? Well, here's another question for you: has Cameron Carter Vickers found his level in Scottish football? Is Scottish football making Cameron Carter Vickers look good? Until we see Cameron Carter Vickers in the Champions League on an ongoing basis, that's a question that we've still unanswered, because Cameron Carter Vickers as a player was, I think he was at about 6 or 7 clubs on loan before he came to Celtic. So we need to wait and see. We need to wait and see. We really need Cameron Carter Vickers to have a strong Champions League to see if he's going to be the top Celtic defender that we all hope he is. Maybe it's just a walk in the park for him in the Scottish League. They don't know. Anyway, the defence is not a position that we need to be covering. It is striker. I hope to God we do not go for Van Hooydonk. I think it's a player that we don't need at Celtic, and we don't, and particularly, I don't really want him. Celtic should look at Danny Armstrong. Danny Armstrong, the Kilmarnock winger. Do we need another winger? I don't think so, but that was one that I seen earlier today. Danny Armstrong from Kilmarnock. He did play against us. Those chances that Armstrong created. Um, we don't need another winger. That's the thing. We need Lewis Palmer to start running past players and doing things a little bit better. So at 26, and then O'Reilly, it's all going to come down to the summer. Anyway, he's an excellent player, 23. Joe Hart is a huge fan of 23-year-old teammate Serie A close to deal. Leeds United owe Celtic. Leeds United owe Celtic 300 grand. Leeds United owe Celtic 300 grand. Well, there you go. Leeds United are selling defender Leo Higilide, or whatever his name is. Was it not Ronnie Dyler that brought him to Celtic, to Sunderland for a fee of around about 2 million? But there's a Celtic sell-on clause of 15% that is due to Celtic. So Leeds United will be paying Celtic £300,000 for the sale after the seven-figure agreement was agreed with Sunderland. So who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? Beale, even though he's left Celtic, he's just made Celtic some money. You can't make it up. So after Beale leaving Rangers, he's at Sunderland now, isn't he? Or is it Middlesbrough? I don't even know where he is. Who cares? Anyway, Leeds are due Celtic 300 grand. That's a bit of Celtic news that's coming out this evening. That's a bit of a good one. That'll please the board. That'll please the board. Fabrizio Romano, Sunderland have agreed to a deal to sign Leo for Heide, the Norway under 21. Yeah, it was. Was it? He joined Celtic when he was about 16 or something. The fee will be 2 million from Leeds, £2 million. They've given them the green light, which means Celtic will be due £300,000. That's a fantastic bit of news this evening. 300 grand. Anyway, Sunderland, 300 grand. Lawwell's trousers. That would be trousering for that expenses. John, let's get to John's comment. When we get to the summer window, we will wait to the January. Yes, another 300 grand for the board, says Martin. Yeah, another 300 grand for the board. And then all we need is the big one. The big one. The little player, the little winger, the little defender that we sold a few years ago. When he goes for 50 odd million, we're going to get about 10 to 15 million for him. And I'm expecting that to be in the summer. Maybe that's why Celtic are hanging off. Anyway, 300 grand to fill up Lowell's Range Rover with fuel. As long as it's not going to go boom or go on fire on his driveway like it did. Anyway, Hearts aren't selling Shankland. He's worth 68 million for them getting third. Move on. Is he really worth between 6 and 8 million? Is that because you only get 3 million, 3.2 million for winning the league in Scotland? Um, is he worth 6 to 8 million for them? Because I don't. Will they make that kind of money in Europe if they get into Europe? They're definitely going to make 6 million in Europe. Maybe 3 million. Maybe. I can't see him being worth 3 8 million, Martin. But maybe if that's what they want for them, give them 300 million. Brendan won't see any. Yeah, if Celtic were to get 300 million, Brendan wouldn't see a lot. Lorna says 300 grand for a jolly. Up for the greedy board. Yes, absolute scunnered with the board. Says Lorna, no point in our club making money. It's a racket. Says Bearded Dobber. Bearded Dobber. That's a name and a half for a YouTube. Pat McGuire's in a wee question. Who's our free kick specialist? It's meant to be O'Reilly and Lewis Palmer, believe it or not. Lewis Palmer is the dead ball specialist at Celtic now. Don't tell you I said it, but he did come with a reputation of being a dead ball specialist before he came to Celtic. So, Pat, there you go. Who's responsible for coaching set plays? The answer is bloody nobody. Smell the Glove says Friday lunchtime statement from the board. Well, January is a challenging window. Blah blah blah. It was a good window. We didn't have to sell any players. We didn't have to sell Matt O'Reilly. There was other players that were looked at that we didn't have to sell, and they'll fabricate some nonsense. If you've seen the Celtic report on the game at the weekend, it was just a fabrication of factually what actually happened for the goal. Anyway, it's not like Celtic to make stuff up, is it? The lack of free kick specialist is baffling, says Michael Ross. European football is the figures I heard next season. Third is worth. Is it? Is it worth? Is third spot really going to be worth 6 to 8 million for the third in Scotland? If it is, hats off to them. I hope they then reinvest that and into football. Let's talk about stadiums in Scotland, because we all keep talking about the players. Are we getting a good return for our experience. We'll put it down as an experience because we're not fans, we're customers. So from a customer point of view, when we go to games in this day and age, now I still go about Dundee United's away end. Dundee United's away end, and um, I mean I know they're not in the league, but I mean Dundee United's away end. The toilets there. When you look at what it costs for a tiny little pizza about this size, and the price of getting a pie and stuff at Celtic Park now, are we getting good value for our money? I know that Celtic try and go on and get in early and get the pre-match entertainment at Celtic Park, and then they do have some entertainment on outside the ground. Is it good value for money? The money that you spend going to football these days. Tell me that in the comments for the ones that still go to games. Aberdeen want upwards of 6 million. If Aberdeen want upwards of 6 million, Michael, they are on to plums. But then again, they know Celtic sitting with 70 million in the bank. If you're going to sit and boast in Scottish football, yeah, we've got 70 million in the bank. Um, other teams are going to go, is that right? Aye. It's- you're sitting there going, "What's the money? What's the money? What's the money?" And Peter Lawwell and co sitting going, "What's the money?" But then the other teams in Scotland are going, "Well, if you've got loads of money and you're selling players for 5, 6 million, and we're in the same league as you, well, we want the same chunk of the pie. We're wanting that for our players." Peter King says offered that Aberdeen Mikey Johnston and 3 million. Martin Corrigan saying nope, pricing fans out of the game. Loan to buy with the sheep if they want that much. John it says, why don't we offer Aberdeen Turnbull as part of a swap deal for Movovsky? That's an interesting one. That's an interesting. Palmer should practice penalty kicks against Hart. He won't save them anyway. We need to talk about Joe Hart. We'll talk about Joe Hart because he's obviously been speaking about the fact that he's not talking about his career until he's got more important things to think about than his career. Green Machine says it's a rip off of food. It's a rip off for European games. Yeah, it is. Who really cares? Says the value in the money is non existent at Celtic. Kaiser says the move for the season for me is going to Paradise and getting the garage put in bucket back down to 8.99. What do you mean by quality experience? How much does Movovsky fit that description? I think does he fit the experience or the quality? Does one good season make a good player? Tell me that. Does one good season? Because Mavovsky, when you look at his stats, it's only this good season that he's had a good season. The Sheep want 6 million for the likes of Southampton. Yeah. Turnbull will be off to the English Championship on free to earn money. Should we get rid of him just now, or should we keep him at the end of the season and then let him go for nothing? Love Big Heart. The legend said Owen. Right. Owen, at the weekend, they had a chance that came off the bar. Joe Hart came out off his line, tried to jump up. Now, for the height of Joe Hart, totally mistimed the ball. It went right over his hand, and the Ross County player headed it right against the bar. On another day, that could have went in. Could have went in, and Joe Hart would have been at fault. There's been too many times in Joe Hart's career at Celtic that he's terrible at coming for cross balls. He's, I mean, he's good at some things, but he doesn't dominate his box. Is a you can't knock his career. You can't knock Joe Hart's career, and he's a lovely guy. But to get on in life, sometimes the nice ones don't always win. I mean, he has won. He's had 75 caps. He's done whatever he's done with Man City, etc. But when it comes to Celtic, he's not really. I know why he was brought in, but he's at the end of his career. He's at the end of his career. Anyway, we move on from him. Talking in general as a servant of the club back. Yeah, he is that. He is that. Turnbull goes to a league where the football tempo is slow, which means that he should maybe go to Italy or Spain. It's a bit slower. He's got luck on his side, Baz. He has that. Hart now is just okay. He just got up with him. Yeah, it has got up with him. It has got up with him. And that's what I'm saying. Celtic, you need a young, more athletic keeper. and he's probably one of the oldest goalkeepers that we've had for a while. For a while, probably since Paki Bonner. I think he is actually. I think he's probably the oldest keeper that we've had since Paddy Bonner. Anyway, the eighth best shot stopper in our league. It's not good enough. Yeah, there you go. I think Big Joe has won a penalty pass. Oh dear, right. How long have we been on? We've been on for 39 minutes tonight. I was only going to stay on for half an hour. Right, let's see if there's any other Celtic news kicking about. Gustav Lagerbielke closing in on Celtic exit. Um, he's an excellent player. Joe Hart is a huge fan of a 23-year-old Celtic teammate. We all know who he's talking about. Serie A loan deal with Celtic Defender. Um, I can feel Joe Hart talking about the Celtic boos. I know, even though Celtic obviously won at the weekend, Joe Hart told the Glasgow Times, "We just keep our focus." The Celtic goalkeeper says, given his career as a teenager, he built himself up, including winning numerous Premier League titles. He has the world of experience, but 36-year-old was. He says, "I've been lucky not to know uh, how it feels to be a fan. I've been lucky. Obviously, I can feel it on the park. It's been a bit emotional, the situations over the last couple of months. But as players, we just keep focused and keep our focus and keep playing," says Joe Hart. That's enough time that you're getting on the podcast tonight. Joe Hart. Ronnie Simpson was playing in Celtic in his 70s. He wasn't playing in his 70s. Come on. Packy Bonner. Turnbull's just fine, says Davy Winters. Now, what I didn't notice when we're on the live just there, just going to that to this screen, no, it's that one. Going here, so I'm doing it right. Is this has went up by 2 subscribers live on air tonight. And I was wanting to say, if you're a Celtic fan that hasn't subscribed to the channel, please do, because I'm only 148 away from the 15,000 subscribers. 1,000 and what the fucking shut up, Baz. 148 away from the 15,000, and I want to get to the 15,000 before Valentine's night. And don't worry, will we do a live on Valentine's night just to remember the forgotten? Remember the forgotten and remember remember when they died. And enjoy your day, folk. Michael Ross is off. I Scott, only 148 to go, Baz. Yes, only 148 to go. Hail, hail, says Scott. Could any of the young boys go to Brunei for a game time? Something today. I hope that they do. I was kind of hoping that Brunei was going to get a job before he did, so that Celtic could have put out some of the young boys to the team. But we'll see. We'll see. Happy admin night. Yeah, we'll do a live on Valentine's night. Happy administration night. Do you honestly believe that quality players will arrive before the 1st of February? No, no. We'll bring in one more player. I do believe that we will bring in one more player, but that's it. Lorna Gallagher says, "Cheer, Baz. Have a good one. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Hit the thumbs up before you go. You're nearly there, Baz. Yes. Valentine's Forum is the church in Garbles. You're the one-man show, and it's great, Baz. Yes, it is the one-man show. You've got to be a bit different because all the Celtic podcasts out there are looking a bit too similar, in my opinion. Anyway, laters, Baz, laters. Hope Bruni knocks them out the cup. And on that note, have a fantastic evening, Celtic fans all around the world."